Every morning starts the same way. You wake up at the same time, wash your face, grab a coffee for breakfast. You tell yourself, again, that next time you'll cook something proper, something healthy. But you never have the energy for it. You head to school, university, or work, hunching your shoulders against yet another heavy rain. Every day, the same faces. The same routine tasks you stopped truly noticing a long time ago. As usual, someone is yelling at you. Teachers, bosses, random strangers you bump into. By evening, you can't even remember who you talked to or what you talked about. You don't have the strength to clean or to work on your hobbies. After a few empty hours spent watching yet another show, you collapse into bed just so it can all start over again. Life feels meaningless, boring, and also frightening, unfair, and deeply, painfully upsetting. That's all there is to it. And it's from exactly this feeling, from the desire to escape this kind of life, that the story of one of the most original anime of recent years begins, Sonny Boy. In the middle of August, right at the peak of summer vacation, a boy named Nagara and 36 of his classmates, who happened to be at school that day, are suddenly transported to another world, along with the entire school building itself. They find themselves suspended in a bottomless, endlessly black void. After the transfer, some of them develop strange new abilities. One can hear voices, another can bend space itself. Someone else just has a glowing finger. Nagara, as far as he can tell, has no power at all, while everyone around him is trying to figure out how to get back, how to establish rules for this new reality, or how to seize leadership. Nagara lies alone in an empty classroom, seemingly unwilling to think about anything. Eventually, he's interrupted by a classmate named Nozomi. Her ability is the power to see an exit from this world, a distant light, somewhere far ahead. Driven by Nozomi's determination, the group accidentally shifts worlds once again, this time landing on a deserted island. And this won't be the last time. Over the course of the series, the characters are repeatedly transported into new worlds. In one, they're greeted by red, alien water. In another, whales drift slowly across the sky. In yet another, they encounter their own doubles, versions of themselves happily finishing school. The premise of Sonny Boy is easy enough to describe. Its story, however, is almost impossible to sum up, because Sonny Boy isn't really a single, linear narrative. It's a collection of parables, reflections on, arguably, every major question in life, from faith in God to the meaning of death. In one episode, the characters play baseball against blue monkeys, forcing themselves to ask what truly matters more, rules and morality, or results and a good story. In another, they meet two brothers who have been fighting each other for thousands of years, simply because one of them has more hair. Why does this endless conflict exist? And why is it, somehow, what gives their lives meaning? In yet another episode, they witness a love story stretched across millennia. That's why it is hard to believe that all of these parables, ideas, and the entire script of Sonny Boy were written by a single person, Shingo Natsume. Shingo Natsume is a talented director, and in many ways a very lucky one. He directed the first season of One Punch Man and the ambitious Boogie Pop and others, and worked as an animator on titles like Full Metal Alchemist, Gurren Lagann, Naruto, and Mob Psycho 100. But none of that would matter quite as much for this story if he hadn't met veteran producer Motoki Mukaichi, not someone who simply offered Natsume a job directing another anime, but someone who gave him something far more rare: the chance to create a completely original project of his own for Madhouse.
やっぱりせっかく自由にできるなら自分の好きだったものだったり好きなことをやろうという感じで
Shingo Natsume didn't just write the script for the entire series. He also carefully assembled the team behind it. From character designer Hisashi Eguchi, who had previously worked with Satoshi Kon, to a young animator named Keiichiro Saito, who, just 2 years after Sonny Boy, would go on to direct his own masterpiece, albeit an adaptation, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. The unique structure of Sonny Boy, where each episode can look completely different from the last, where worlds change constantly, and where the core idea of any single episode could be expanded into an entire series of its own, gave Natsume the freedom to let all of these talented creators express themselves, and, just as importantly, to give them an ambitious project they could genuinely believe in. And yet, Sonny Boy never feels like a patchwork. It doesn't fall apart into flashy but disconnected fragments, despite how it might sound on paper, because every visual choice, every inspired creative decision made by the animators and directors, the very form of the series itself, its parables, its narrative turns, its shifting worlds, all serve a single central idea: the search of its main character, Nagara, for meaning in his own life. At the beginning of the story, Nagara is depressed. He lies to himself, pretending that he enjoys being alone in an empty classroom. He isn't ready to take responsibility for his life, and he doesn't know what he wants in the first place. In a way, he's already given up, before even trying. This uncertainty isn't expressed through the story alone. It's present, even in the show's use of color. Art director Mari Fujino has explained that she deliberately used complementary colors placed on opposite sides of the color wheel, to emphasize Nagara's inner conflict. The feeling of standing between two opposing forces, unable to choose a direction. Things begin to shift as early as the first episode, when Nagara's opposite enters his life, Nozomi. She's the one who forces him to move, to act, to save her from falling into the abyss, to search for ways to reach other worlds, to connect with his classmates. When Nagara freezes, Nozomi pushes forward. The journey between worlds and the stories of the people met along the way begin to reflect every major aspect of life itself. Religion, morality, the value of objects, and the value of friendship, love, and endless conflict. All of it appears before Nagara like a kaleidoscope, offering him different versions of what life could be. What's striking is how grounded and emotionally truthful these ideas feel, considering the setting. This is an anime where characters drift between realities and use strange, colorful gadgets, yet it feels painfully real. That balance isn't accidental. Director Shingo Natsume achieves it by imposing strict limitations. The character designs, especially the faces, are intentionally realistic. Internal monologues are almost entirely absent. Everything you hear on screen is spoken out loud. As a viewer, you're forced to infer emotions and inner struggles the same way you do in real life, through gestures, behavior, and facial expressions. And finally, especially in the early episodes of Sonny Boy, background music is used sparingly, if at all. All of these constraints exist for a single purpose: to make an abstract, fantastical story feel real. Because in the end, Sonny Boy is a story about reality itself. All of this leads us to what is arguably the most important episode of the entire anime, Episode 7. In it, Nagara is separated from his friends and trapped in a strange world where people are building the Tower of Babel. Except they aren't building it upward. They're building it downward. No one really knows why. Some say they're searching for paradise. Others think it's for treasure, or a way back to their original world. As one character puts it, we're just building a tower that goes down. That's all. The episode opens with an image of an ant farm, ants running back and forth, digging tunnels, spending their time in what seems like completely meaningless activity. And when we, along with Nagara, arrive in the world of the inverted Tower of Babel, the association is unavoidable. There's no real difference between people carrying bricks down endless stairs and ants digging through sand. No difference between people hauling bricks downward and people going to work every single day. There is no finish line on this path. A tower that goes down can never truly be completed, only buried under wet, collapsing earth. And you know what else ants do, according to the characters, when they're trapped together in one place? They start eating each other. As the following episodes make clear, war, conflict, and rivalry are just as inevitable for humans. In that sense, we're no different. Nagara is quickly absorbed into life inside the Tower of Babel. He wakes up with everyone else, carries stones downward without asking questions, even eats worms, just like everyone else. The meaninglessness of everyday routine pulls him in and slowly consumes him. He stops thinking about his friends, about returning home. It's as if he's once again lying on the floor of an empty classroom, doing nothing. But something inside him has already changed. By this point, he's experienced first love. He's found friends. He's lived through adventures that made him want to live again. So when a new acquaintance tells him, what matters most is how strongly you can believe in nonsense. Because in the end, that's all we have. Nagara suddenly understands something. This entire world is an inverted tower. And it's a tower he can turn upright himself.
この世界をひっくり返す。僕はみんなの分まで前に進まなきゃいけない。
Throughout Sonny Boy, Nagara reflects on the meaning of life. So why is an episode about its total meaninglessness the key to the whole series? And what does it even mean to turn the tower around? Does building it upward really change anything at all? The answer lies in a subtle but crucial shift. For the first time, Nagara stops looking for support and direction in other people or in the world around him. Instead, he turns inward. He finds himself in what could be called the purest form of existential meaninglessness. And yet, this is the moment when he first pushes back against the depression and apathy that everyday life has forced onto him. He takes a step into the abyss on his own. He finds his own way out, and he puts reality back in its place. Only after episode 7 does Nagara truly begin to look at the options offered by the kaleidoscope of life around him, instead of simply waiting and noticing what matters only after it's already gone. So what meaning of life does Nagara choose in the end? Every morning begins the same way. You wake up at the same time, wash your face, and have coffee for breakfast. Every day, you promise yourself that next time you'll cook something proper, something healthy. And every time, you don't have the energy. You head to school, university, or work, hunching your shoulders under yet another heavy rain. Every day, the same faces, the same routine tasks you stopped remembering long ago. As usual, someone is yelling at you. Teachers, bosses, random strangers you accidentally bump into. By evening, you can't even recall who you talked to or what you talked about. You don't have the strength to clean or to work out. After a few empty hours spent watching yet another show, you collapse into bed, just so it can all begin again. Life feels meaningless, boring, and also frightening, unfair, and painfully unjust. This is how the story of Sonny Boy truly ends. Nagara returns to the real world, one that hasn't changed at all. It's still just as unbearable. But that isn't the whole story, because Nagara himself has changed. He accepts the world as it is. He accepts that there's no escaping it. Yes, we are ants digging tunnels in the sand, constantly destroying one another. Yes, we believe in false gods. We're greedy, jealous. We break rules and place ourselves above others. Yes, we keep building a tower that goes down, deeper and deeper into the ground.
何も変わらないって分かってたんだけど、頭では分かってるつもりだったんだ。
ここはナガラが選んだ未来でしょ。どうせ僕たちに世界は変えられないって、だから大丈夫だって前私に言ったこと覚えてる？今でもそう思う？
やっぱり世界は変えられない。だけどこれは僕が選択した世界だ。
Unlike ants, we're aware of all this, and that awareness gives us a choice. We can choose the world we want to live in. Now that Nagara has returned to this meaningless world, he carries a privilege and a responsibility. The ability to choose for himself, to make his own decisions, to live in a way that he chooses. And that choice matters. Where will it lead? No one knows. Will happiness be waiting for him? No one knows. Will life become even a little less difficult, a little less painful? No one knows. But
人生はまだこれからだ。先はもう少しだけ長い。
Shingo Natsume was able to make his own original series, and that makes him an unusually fortunate director. But we're unusually fortunate viewers too, because he chose to spend that opportunity reminding us how important it is to make our own decisions, how important it is to choose, for ourselves, the world we ultimately want to live in. Some viewers may find the ending of Sonny Boy disappointing, especially when compared to stories like the rebuild of Evangelion films or other narratives about depression. The world around the protagonist doesn't suddenly become bright or welcoming. Nagara isn't surrounded by friends, and the girl he loves is now with someone else. But for me, that's exactly what makes this story so valuable. Because in real life, things almost never shift into warm colors all at once. Problems don't simply resolve themselves. Even on our happiest days, we still end up with wet shoes in the rain, and still have to crowd into subway stations on the way home. And that's why Nagara's choice matters so much. The fact that he chooses this world, that he doesn't give up on it, that he's willing to keep growing, to keep searching for his own path. That's what makes Sonny Boy feel truly real and truly inspiring. Yes, life is meaningless. That's all it is. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with your friends. And let me know in the comments whether you enjoyed Sonny Boy.